Hello everyone, this is a quick post-mortem part 1 for the PIkamee game I made last month. I started work on the 2nd of March. My end goal immediately was going to be the 21st of March. That would give adequate time, I think, if you needed to see the game or if you wanted to play the game on stream, that you had, hopefully an opportunity for it. My goal was about a 30-minute to 45-minute game because I didn't want it to take too much of her time or anyone else's time for that matter, and I wanted to keep things within a reasonable file size. Beta testing for me began on the 16th, and my actual end date was the 20th, so I believe I was really successful in my initial goals of setting everything out. I had about 180 man-hours total, maybe a little bit more putting into the game and working on it. The first 3 weeks after the game's release, I had about a 20% CTR, which is really incredible. Most games get about a 1 to 3% CTR, so I expect this to kind of drop significantly now that most people have the game, are playing it. About 220 of the 1,200 people that went to the website downloaded the game and played it. I think the biggest con for me with the game would be that the Windows Defender warning on executable run once you've downloaded it, because if you don't give Microsoft money and they don't recognize you as a developer, they'll put a warning the first time you run an executable to say that this might be potentially dangerous. Really annoying, and there's no way to get around it unless I went through a different store. If I was to put this on Steam, it would cost me about $100 to do that. And as it's a fan game, I don't believe that would be appropriate. I don't own the rights to any of these characters. It's simply something I was doing kind of as a farewell and a thank you to them, so I didn't want to do that. As far as the game's design went, I mostly have experience working in Unreal, so I decided to make the game in Unreal 5. I already had been working on a game in Unreal. If you've been following my channel, you know this. If not, please give it a follow. I think you'll like it. I had been working on an inventory system and an interaction system for a first-person action-adventure RPG, so I decided to borrow those mechanics and put them into the game. My goal was to make a 3D collectible game, and I think it worked out pretty well. At first, it was just going to be an inventory system where you picked up items related to her stream and, kind of collectible, and they'd have some flavor text related to them. I decided to expand a little bit further on that because the game would probably only be about 10 minutes long at that point. I wanted to do a little bit more. In the past, I had experimented using a clip video system for an FMV project that I was working on, so I decided to carry that over in Unreal, and I think it worked out really well. It extended a lot of longevity to the game. It added some cute clips and videos for them, and it was just kind of fun in general to make. There were a lot of adjustments that I needed to make working with it, but I think for the most part, I got the puzzles and mechanics to work pretty well and be balanced. I reached my goal of about 30 to 40 minutes for it, so that hit very well. The videos themselves, I think, filled the role of nostalgia and enjoyable memories throughout her career. There were a lot of clips to choose from, and there were a lot of clips I wanted to put in there, but unfortunately, due to time and size constraints, I kind of had to cut it at the amount that I had there. Because there are so many good moments that I really wanted to add, but, just time and getting them out there. Itch only allows up to like a 2 GB download by default, so too big of a game file, I wouldn't be able to use that without using their Butler program. I've used Butler before with them, but I just wanted to kind of get it up there quick and ready just in case there were any issues, and luckily everything worked out. I think the game was over a gig in size just lightly, so everything worked out there. Itch was also nice enough to extend it up to 4 GB, so if I did have issues, I was able to load up a larger file. But luckily there were no issues. Another memorable aspect of PIkamee streams for me was the use of song and karaoke. I wanted to incorporate a lot of the background music into the world, but I wanted to do a little more than that, so I created a jukebox system. It was my first time making something like that from scratch, but luckily I was able to use Blueprint and C++ code to kind of hook it up pretty quick. It took about 2 to 3 days total, I think, getting it to work as I wanted, and mostly I'm pretty happy. If I was a better artist, I would have done a little more flavor. As far as level design goes, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at first. I was thinking maybe a world, but the larger scope, spanning out, takes too long, especially when you're in a time crunch. So I decided to do an apartment. I based the apartment on several images from Gary that you'll see here. So as you can tell, there wasn't a lot to go off of. I had an idea of a couch, a potential kitchen, and a bedroom, but there wasn't much other than that. So I just kind of had to work with what I had. Ironically, after I finished the game project and was showing it around, I found out that Gary had actually used an Unreal apartment pack that you can get off the marketplace for modeling that set, and it changed some colors and things around with it. Had I known that, it would have probably taken a lot less time to make things, put them together, but it was still a fun project. I got to use the Unreal 5 modular level building system, which is a quick way to block out leveling. It let me sculpt things out nightly, make adjustments on the fly, and kind of put together the apartment. As far as the item hunt went with the game, I wanted to incorporate pictures, items, and other things throughout the world. Regarding collectibles in the game, I knew I wanted to incorporate pictures and item things in the apartment, But I wanted to do a little bit more than that. I wanted to use an early combat system I had been working on to see if I could get some things sorted out. I had some issues with collision, but for the most part, I got it sorted out. As far as the combat system goes, I added vases into the game that you could smack with Tomoe. It was intended kind of as a Dark and Darker joke, as PIkamee had mentioned she wanted to play Dark and Darker that month on stream, but the beta was down, so I decided to add some breakable pots into the situation jokingly, because a lot of the time, if you play Dark and Darker, a lot of the time spent playing that game, I found myself breaking boxes and vases, trying to find treasure. So I added some breakable vases into the world. It was kind of interesting adding that mesh and everything to it. It wasn't too terrible or difficult to do. Overall, I think I accomplished a lot of what I wanted to do in the time that I had been given. I think it was generally a success. There weren't really any reported issues with the game. I had a Linux user that was trying to use it, but unfortunately, I don't have a Linux operating system, so I couldn't package the game appropriately for it. But for the most part, other than that, Windows users haven't had any complaints or issues with that. I had an optimization system, which I don't think most people needed. I had one user who had a really old computer from 2012 that had issues playing the game, but once I set it to low, they were able to get it working perfectly fine. So I think it was pretty much a good success. If you haven't played the game yet, I have a link in the description down below, hopefully. YouTube seems to be in the process of banning external links for some reason, so if you don't see the link down there, you can go to my website that'll pop up here in a second, rolypolygames.net. And if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see something that says Games. Click on that. You'll find a link to the PIkamee game on my itch.io page. So go ahead and grab it there. Hopefully you enjoy it. Well, that covers most of what I wanted to talk about here, so I'm going to hop over into the in-game video footage audio where I'm commenting a little bit more here. So for the Katusha model here, it was really tough to find a cat model in-game. There aren't very many free cat models, and I didn't want to go to my friend and say, hey, I need you to model me a little cute cat to work with, because that would have probably taken several hours of his time, and I didn't want to extend them. He had already helped me a lot by getting the jukebox done, getting the couch done, the fridge, the records, the bed, all this stuff that he had done for me, and I really appreciate that from him, but I didn't want to drag his time out anymore. So luckily, on Quixel, I found a Japanese statue with a cat shrine. So I figured, oh, hey, this will work really great. The problem is, with the cat model, the statue is old and broken, so it has the front of its face gone. I was like, oh no, I can't do that for a cat. But luckily, with how things worked out with PIkamee and the fact that when she gets scared by ghosts, she brings her cat with her to the bathroom. Just kind of worked out perfectly. They had the cat sitting at the door to guard her in case there are any ghosts in her apartment. So that worked out really well for at least, an excuse as to why it's there. So I guess the other thing I could really talk about is data assets. I wish I could show you in-engine itself, but it's so glitchy and stuttery when I pull up the engine. It's like doot, 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 like that, kind of represent it here by doing these sharp jumps. But even then, that doesn't adequately, the frame rate for it is just so bad. I need to figure out, there's got to be a better way to do it in-game than that. But, so, what data assets are, if you've played anything like Apex Legends, or kind of any recent big FPS games, I'm sure Fortnite probably uses data assets too, but they're a way to store items, enemies, weapons, stuff like that in-game, and as long as the information for them doesn't change, they can load really quick. You don't have to worry about load up times and memory usage and stuff like that. So it's a fast and convenient way to load things in. And it's what I've been using for my inventory system. And I actually was struggling quite a bit before I had made this game with figuring out how I wanted to do items. Because typically game items are done as a data table, where it's an Excel spreadsheet of names, stats, and values. And it's kind of the same thing with data assets, but it's one by one. You can still manage them like a spreadsheet, but it's a little bit different. So that was one thing that... Let's see if I can move this here. I want to see if we can get out of bounds just so I can show you the rest of the world. Because there really isn't too much else to the rest of the world, but it's fun to see if we can get out of bounds. And I know people have tried. I don't think we're going to be able to do this, but it's worth a shot. Because I pretty much put a volume box here, all the walls, and on top of it, but there is a small gap right in that area. So if you can get onto the roof, you might be able to get through it. But I don't think you're going to be able to get onto the roof. Now, let me try. Yeah, no, that box is pretty hard up there. If I could do no collision with console command, I could show you. But what you see in the world here is pretty much what you get. Everything beyond this is flat, and even underneath the house here, it's just a big hole. Like, the wall is here. It goes all the way down, and then everything else underneath this is empty. Oh, I can try to show you through the wall. There's this little bug that I found. Initially, what was going on is when I looked down like this, you could see through the wall. But that wasn't working, and I learned that I'm going to have to do my models a little differently for my main game because, well, you don't want to be able to see this when you're looking up or looking down in a game, period, because that's kind of glitchy. So I'll have to change how my models handle a little bit, but yeah, I wish I could show you that. Maybe I'll take a picture or something and add it to the end of this here. But yeah, I think that's really about all I kind of want to talk about with it here. You should definitely give the game a go if you haven't at this point and have fun looking at it. I mean, it's not a whole lot to it, but if you enjoy PIkamee clips and her in general, I think hopefully I conveyed a lot of the nice things about her. I wish I could have put more into it, but I can't spend my whole entire time working on this. I got another project that I'm working on, and I got to get further and further along in that. But overall, I accomplished everything I set out to do. I got collectible items in. I got everything out in time. I think, beyond what I wanted, honestly, because I got the jukebox in there. I get ending credits, and I think everything is really nice. But if I'm going to end it here, I think I'll end it with the credit part here. Go ahead and check these people out, please. I mean, a lot of what I would have done wouldn't have been as pretty or possible without them. So, if you hop into the game, you can go to credits, you can click on any of these. It'll take them right to their Twitter pages or their channels. A lot of them are great artists, great people in general. And, thanks to everybody again for letting me use their art, their music, and their clips. Because this game wouldn't have really been possible without you. And hopefully, PIkamee, Saad, if you're out there, hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself, and until we meet again. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you in the next video, which may be this week. I don't know. I wanted to be a little bit further along in combat testing. I've got it so it's hitting models and enemies and stuff, but it doesn't look too impressive yet, so give me a little bit. I might do that next week for sure. I'm pretty sure. Have a good one.